Hello, my amazing kings and queens. King Moreland here. As you know, I'm on a mission to help you unlock your full potential and become the best versions of yourself. Whether you're facing challenges, chasing dreams, or just looking to level up in life, you've come to the right place. Every week, we dive deep into strategies and mindset shifts and practical tools that will help you transform your life from the inside out. This is your channel, your personal development channel, so you can become the powerhouses you were meant to be in the world. A channel where mediocrity is not an option and excellence is our standard. So if you're ready to join a community of passionate individuals committed to growth, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's start this journey together. So, hey again, I want to talk to you guys about something very, very near and dear to my heart. As someone who's a teacher and someone who is creative, I think it's very important for us all to foster this, right? So today's topic is how to foster your imagination. Trust me, this is your superpower. Welcome back to the channel, your go-to space for leveling up and unlocking your full potential, living a life that you're meant to be, putting together your masterpiece life, right? Today we're diving into this powerful lesson of fostering your imagination and maintaining it through adulthood, because this tends to be something that we all have when we're kids, and unfortunately due to life we kind of grow out of it. And I want to do my part to kind of help us stop doing that, as a community and as a people. I think it's very important for us to have a strong, powerful imagination and to not grow out of it, right? So today we're diving into what's deep inside all of us, our imagination. So let's be real, right? When we were kids, our minds were on fire with creativity, spaceships made of cardboard, secret words in clubhouses, playing made up games in the backyard, and, just putting different games together and just coming up with different ideas, right? What happened to that? As we grow up, unfortunately, between bills, routines, and responsibilities, all the magic of our imagination tends to begin to fade. And that's something that personally I try to fight against, right? So I kind of want to give you guys some methods as to how I was able to fight against it in my adulthood and what I personally do to keep my imagination running, because imagination is like anything, if you don't use it, fortunately you lose it, right? So here are some ways where you can, here's some methods that you could use to relight that spark and begin to cultivate a strong imagination. The first one is reinventing yourself. Every year, personally, I try to reinvent myself. Like last year, I was a digital designer. This year, I'm getting into YouTube. Maybe next year, I'm doing something that's a combination between YouTube and digital design. I've always been a teacher, so I keep the main thing, but I always try to come up with something that makes my life more exciting, makes my life a little different, Like, it doesn't have to be anything that's like too extravagant. Sometimes it can be something that's as simple as, trying a different job, doing a job you never thought would do. These different things will help you reinvent yourself and maintain your creativity, It'll spark a new version of you and it'll spark you to start thinking outside the box, and maybe you'll gain a new talent, So it's very important to reinvent yourself, right? It's also really important to ask questions. I know you've all heard that saying, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I think there are. But for the most part, you want to be curious enough to ask questions. If you see something you've never seen before, it's very important for you to ask questions and just remain curious, because, as adults, we kind of get to a point where we don't want to ask questions. We try not to ask questions that other people might think are foolish. Like, I think it's very important for you to just ask the question. You never know what the answer will be, but be curious enough to ask a question and at least put yourself out there. Be different. Most curious people are pretty successful, and they're also people who are, oddballs. But that's okay. As long as you're being yourself, that's all that matters. So be willing to ask questions and be curious whenever you're in a room full of people who have different perspectives than you do. It's very important to be curious, right? I also think here's where imagination really comes into play. When it comes to coming up with great dreams, dream big. There's a quote that I live by, right? Dream so big that it scares you. You should have dreams that are so lofty that you literally can't achieve or else you become a different person. That's very important. In fact, that's vital. I think that's something that, for me, that's like one of the most important things I do. I dream of things that I've never seen anybody else do before. Because if I am the first person to do it, I know that I can be a trailblazer and someone that inspires other people to do the same. So I think that's very important, right? And then the next thing, another idea you can go with is this. You can start mind mapping your passions, right? So I actually have a book here. I can show you guys. I read a lot, so I always keep a book handy. But this book, Mind Mapping, right? It's a very important book because you'll have like something in the center and then you'll have different like ideas that spawn off of it. I actually turned my vision board into a mind map. So basically what it means is you'll have a dream, right? And you'll be passionate about it. You can have different mind maps coming off of it, which are like different ideas that you want to like work on and bring into reality, right? So it's also part of dreaming big, but you want to start mind mapping things. Put it on paper, because when you put it on paper and you actually see it, it gives you the ability to like know where you're going. It essentially provides you a roadmap, right? And then here's the fun one, right? We all want to go on vacation. Vacationing is important because when you see different places, that increases your imagination. Just going into a different place and seeing like a new environment or seeing new people or meeting new people, getting inspired by different people, hearing different perspectives, that is very important and it can foster you to have a stronger imagination. So that's part of it. I'd say vacation at least twice a year if you can. I know that's not feasibly possible for all of us, but if you're able to do that, it's very important to go to places you've never been before. That'll make your imagination even stronger because you're able to see things you've never seen before, right? And then no trusty one that I personally take advantage of is read books. When you read books, that helps. You can watch documentaries or you can just listen to people outside your usual circle. All of those help you come up with ideas that honestly you probably wouldn't have came up with yourself. And then this one is very, very important, right? Keep a journal of your different ideas. I can't show you guys what is in mine, but I also keep that pretty handy. So mine says manifestations on it because I tend to try to make my dreams come into reality, and it happens when my plan and God's plan aligns. So thankful for that when that does happen. But you want to have something like this, right? Something where you write your different ideas in. I had this idea to start a YouTube probably 3 years ago, but I kept putting it off because I was in school and I was scared and I was worried about how people would think of me and all these different things, right? But when I graduated, literally the same day I graduated, that's when I created this YouTube channel. And I did it because I figured, I'm not getting any younger. I might as well do it now. I might as well take action, right? So this started in my imagination, but now it's a reality. Every week, I'm going to give you guys some content to think about, something to help you live a better life yourself. Because I know that at the end of the day, the wisdom that's been bestowed upon me, I can use that to help you guys live a better life. And that has been my goal, with this YouTube channel. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you guys something to work off, right? And I think thus far I've done a good job. This is episode 3, and it's imagination. It kind of like ties into all the other episodes. I have one about designing your life, and I have one about time management, right? You'll use your imagination, and that'll help you design your life. And then you use good time management skills to help you actually bring it together, right? So you guys have to stay tuned to see what the next episode is about. But if you kind of like look at each episode and like put them together, you'll start seeing like different pieces of the puzzle come together, right? And eventually you'll have the life that you want, right? So that's honestly the biggest reason why I created this YouTube channel. So overall, right, I want to leave you guys with this quote. It comes from Napoleon Hill, in a book that's honestly my favorite book. It's called Think and Grow Rich. I think you all should read it one day. It says, whatever the mind can achieve, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. I'll say that again. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And basically, what that means is if you can visualize it and you truly believe it can happen, then it will. You know, I had dreams about bringing my trophy on the stage for my graduation for 3 years straight. And it happened. You know, it happened. That actually happened. And that dream didn't come from seeing anybody else do it because honestly, I don't know if anyone else in the world has ever done anything like that. You know, but I decided that I was going to do it because I have been through a lot trying to graduate. It wasn't an easy path for me. So I wanted to commemorate that in a way no one's ever commemorated, graduating before. And I decided that I would design a trophy, which spawned in my brain as an idea, right? I used my imagination and then putting everything together and finding the right people to kind of design it with me. I came up with the ideas, but I didn't put that together alone. It definitely created it. It took 4 different people working on that. I had someone help me draw it out. I had someone help me scheme it out. I had someone help me with the sourcing the materials to put it together. It didn't happen overnight. It really was 3 years in the making, but it started up here in my imagination, right? So kind of what I want to leave you guys with is to dream big and to foster your imagination. Use all these different tools that I've given you to foster a strong imagination and come up with something, some great ideas that can help you live a better life, right? Because at the end of the day, people are dependent on you. We all have people that rely on us, right? If you are an adult, 9 times out of 10, you have responsibilities and you have people that depend on you to be great. I want you to be great. And I know that having a very strong imagination and carving out a path using your imagination is how you chart a pathway to be great. It's really hard to get there when you're just kind of, not really, thinking about it and you're just kind of going with the flow. It's very hard to do things when you just go with the flow. It's very important for you to have a strong imagination, plan it out, and have good time management skills. So I think those 3 episodes kind of wrap up what I wanted to do with this. And look forward to next week. We'll be going down a different path, down a different journey. Anyways, until next time, stay royal, stay curious, and keep imagining. I'll see you in the next episode. Good night, kings and queens. Love you all.